Assalamu alaikum, welcome back to Small Talk. I am going to talk about stock market, FOMC meeting, the job report, uh, Uber, Tesla, Bitcoin, and so much more in this video. Let's begin. First thing first, last Friday was job report. And I was actually watching Kathy Woods. She makes a video every Friday, or sorry, every I think first or second Friday of each month, in which she gives a stock market overview, and she talks about the federal government policies, and then she also gives her view on what to expect and what she thinks of stock market. I was watching her video, and she mentioned, of course, when I looked at the job report did not look bad to me at all. I know there was it didn't meet the expectation of the Wall Street, but overall, I think given the fact that recently, economic crash has been pretty severe due to the supply chain issues because of the tariffs and all these legal policies and federal government policies, but still the job report was decent. And I have always been saying that we have lived through recession. There is no more recession to come, in my opinion. I know some of the mainstream media and YouTubers are saying that we are going to hit recession in the near future. Some of the Wall Street analysts are also of the opinion that we have recession to come. I never understood where they're getting this data from. How are they expecting a recession? Because in my opinion, I don't see a recession coming unless there's a huge economic crash. That's a different story. For other reasons, for some drastic situation, that's a different story. But with the situation, the way the economy, the country is going right now, I don't see any recession. And I always said, if you go back and watch my videos, that we have already lived through recession, and it was more like a rolling recession. That's exactly what Kathy Woods said, and she was like, it's a rolling recession. We have lived through recession. And recently with the tariff drama, and because that crashed the stock market because of the tariff issues, and there was a supply chain problem, not to the extent the way it was during COVID, but it was pretty bad even in the recent month. Even the high-end consumer was also struggling a little bit. And that's where the recession has peaked, according to Kathy Woods. In my opinion, we have already lived through a recession. The recession is already done and over with, and we don't expect any recession to come forward. Yeah, it was the rolling recession, which we didn't hit very hard because there was some recessionary elements in some of the areas. Like, for example, housing market was suffering a little bit. People are stuck inside their house because the interest rates were so low, and now if they want to sell the house, they can't, because if they go ahead and buy a new house, a much smaller home is going to cost the same amount of money because the interest rate is 3 times the interest rate that it was 2 or 3 years ago, which is why the housing market has seen some recession. There were some recession in maybe automobile industry, because people were not buying new cars. Again, same reason, the interest rates were so high, and people are stuck with their existing cars because if they finance their new car, it's going to cost them twice as much the money as their old cars are costing them. So people are stuck in these two areas. There are some other areas where there may be a small recession. So that's why it was like more like a rolling recession. Like, you see recession in some parts of the economy, but the other parts are doing fine, and then maybe next month or next quarter you see something else suffering. So recession has been going through, but not overall in the economy, but in small portions. And now with this last dip in the stock market, the high-end consumer has also felt the pain because a loss of money was lost due to the tariff drama that was taking place. The tariff problem is still not over. Especially China is not negotiating with the US at all. I know Trump has been saying he's talking to China, but there could be, I know all these governments talk to each other probably on a daily basis, but that means he's not necessarily lying. But when asked question, are you talking to China, he says, oh yeah, I talk to him every day. But he doesn't tell them that, oh, I talk about tariffs to China every day, because nobody specifically asked this question. So this may not be a straight out lie, but it's not the entire truth either. So China does not claim that they have any talks with the US, and we also see that media, the mainstream media, is also asking so many questions from Donald Trump. Are you talking to China about tariffs? What's going on? They're claiming that they're not talking to you, whereas Chinese media is sitting there quietly peaceful, because China has always been prepared for this kind of trade war. And as ADD-based society we are, the US society is, they don't have the patience. And as a result, US will have, China is not going to bend their knees in front of US, not at all, because they are much more resilient and they're much more prepared compared to US. US just has a habit of sticking its nose to the problem that it doesn't have a backup for and it's not prepared for. So that being said, the tariff issues are still not out of the way. We're still not out of the waters. I know he had paused tariffs for 90 days until he negotiates. Yesterday, he made a statement that he could announce the deals for as many as about 200 countries, but he is not going to. He's just waiting. I know he met the Canadian Prime Minister a couple of days ago and also the UK Prime Minister. The Canadian Prime Minister very politely told him that not everything is for sale, basically implying that Canada is not for sale. And as a result, Donald Trump said, we'll see about that. So I think that meeting ended with no practical outcome. He said that he was going to make a deal with the UK, but in my opinion, UK is going to go ahead and make a deal with China because Chinese cars, automobiles, are a lot cheaper than the cars that are being manufactured in the US. And now because US is imposing tariff on UK, maybe it's time for UK to go ahead and shake hands with China, because of course China is not going to apply this much tariff on their imports and exports. So I think UK is leaning more towards shaking hand with China, because previously, if they had this trade negotiation with China, then their own automobile industry will suffer and people will not buy any cars from them because Chinese products are always cheaper, as we all know. So by now, because US is playing this dirty game, then UK is going to go ahead and make a deal, and it's probably thinking about making a deal that maybe it's time that UK shakes hand with China and maybe starts trading with the China. So that's that. So that being said, as per Kathy words, not my words, in my opinion, we have lived through recession. The recession is over. And then once we see economic stability, I think Fed is going to lower rate. So we had an FOMC meeting, that being said, this morning at 2 o'clock today. And Jerome Powell said exactly what I was expecting, that there are no rate cuts right now. He's still very data dependent. And he gave an example from 2023, and he said, just go back and reflect what happened in 2023, which means that if he sees that things are going north, he will just probably go ahead and do quick rate cuts, just like they did back in 2023, about 100 basis points very quickly. This time they may have to cut rates even quicker, and maybe they'll lower the rate to 0% if it's need to be. But right now, he said, we are very data dependent and things could go either direction, so we're not going to rush into cutting rates. Lots of those who were trying to incorporate 25 basis points rate cut in June are pretty disappointed, because there is no sign that Jerome Powell is going to do a 25 basis point rate cuts. I had said in my video 3 months ago that most likely he's going to do a rate cut towards the last half of the year, and that's exactly, in my opinion, is still going to happen. And once that happens, then of course market is going to do well. Market is still doing well, actually. It's not doing bad. Elon Musk had announced that he is going to separate himself from Doge. He'll probably work a couple days in a week at the White House, and the rest of the time he'll focus on his company. He recently offered a discount on his most selling cars in UK, and I think that's not necessarily a bad thing. Yes, it might affect their revenue a little bit, but I think it's time for him to offer a free gift with a purchase or a coupon or something to boost up his sales, because his sales have been dropping in China, in Europe, France, Germany, and UK. The sales were not dropping, but recent reports said that even in UK the sale has dropped. Now again, I had mentioned in my video before that their Model Y was being upgraded, and as per Kathy Wood, I guess she went to buy a car from one of the dealerships, and they said, no, you have to wait till we have a new version of Model Y in the market. So I don't know if that treatment was only for Kathy Wood because she's a celebrity, or they're telling this to all of their customers. If that's the case, then that's probably why last quarter their sales dropped, because they're telling everyone to wait for their Model Y to come out in the market, and then they can buy. The robotaxi may be delayed. Initially, Elon Musk had announced that he is going to have robotaxi coming up in June. I always tell you guys that Elon Musk has a habit of over-promising and under-delivering. Does that mean it's not going to happen? No, 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 that's not what it means. It always happens, but it always happened maybe 2 quarters later than what he initially promises. So the robotaxi may not be out in June. That's what the latest news that I read this morning, and I was not surprised because when he said at his first quarter earning report that the robotaxi may be out as early as June, I did not believe this because it was the target was too tight. I knew that he's not going to be able to pull it off, and that's exactly what happened. So now we have to wait and see when the robotaxis are out. He is also announced that he is going to have their FSDs, somewhat monitored FSDs in China. And Chinese government has allowed him to actually have their FSD run in China, and it's going to be partially operated by individuals. It's not like fully FSD, but to some extent. But overall, I think Tesla stock has been running up since these news came up. For past 2 days, it has pulled back a little bit because of these news. But I think at the end of this quarter, if Tesla doesn't show good delivery numbers, production, and revenue, I think Tesla stock is going to suffer even more. Dan Ives recently of Wedbush has upped his price target from $315 to $350. Initially, his price target was $650 before this whole Doge participation that Elon Musk had. But now he had lowered his price target to 315. But after Elon Musk announced that he's going to separate himself from Doge and White House for the most of the time, he upped his price target to 350, which is good news. And I'm waiting for Tesla to go up above $300. It has been hovering between $385 to $395 range. It just has not gone up over 300 yet because there's a big resistance at $300 level. Bitcoin has been just skyrocketing recently. Actually, all the cryptocurrency has been going up. So many companies have been holding different kind of coins as their reserve. There's a company that I was following recently. They were going to buy Solana, a large amount of Solana, because they wanted to hold that as their reserve instead of holding cash. So lots of these companies are leaning more towards crypto world right now. As a result, Bitcoin is going up, and Bitcoin has dropped so much as compared to gold because people have faith in gold. Gold has been around for centuries, for thousands of years, whereas this digital gold, which I call digital gold cryptocurrency or Bitcoin, is obviously fairly new, and people look at more as like risk-on assets. So people try to shed that as soon as they see there's some crisis coming up in the market. And as a result, Bitcoin dropped a lot. It went all the way down to I think $77,000 or $75,000. I was hoping that it would go to $65,000 so I can nibble some, but I just was not lucky enough to put my hands on a coin. But again, I didn't want to rush into this because I didn't want to buy it at a very expensive price. I just want to wait and see if and when it drops. I think right now it's going to keep going up. It's going to hit probably $110,000 level before it drops again. So those of you who are holding your coin through this drop, congratulations. I think you're going to be happy and you will not regret holding it. And those of you who bought the dip, again, I'm very happy for you because that's even better. This is the dip that you bought and it's going to run right up to at least $110,000 in my opinion, or close to it. And then it'll drop a little bit and it'll make its way up to $250,000, $260,000 level eventually by the end of this year. That's the prediction for Bitcoin. Uber announced their earnings yesterday. Their earning per share was a beat, and their revenue was did not meet expectations. But overall, Uber announced very good earnings. They have been announcing lots of new things across the globe. They're obviously partnering with so many other delivery companies, food delivery companies, and then they also recently announced that they're going to have FSD, full self-driving fleet added to their app, which, to be honest, I know there are lots of people who drive Uber and they depend on Uber for their extra needs. But I think most of these drivers or some of these drivers have caused lots of damage to the company brand in general. There's always some kind of lawsuit going on because Uber driver harassed somebody, or Uber driver did this, or Uber driver did that. So I think this FSD being added to the fleet and to their app, I think is going to be a very good revenue boosted new adventure for Uber. And believe it or not, when these big companies, they run a business, they obviously want to keep every single penny that they earn in their pocket, and they will not be hesitant to take that money away from their drivers and assign that to the FSDs so they can keep all the money in their pocket versus paying the drivers, and that's going to boost their revenue in the future. They've also bought like Food Panda. I think they acquired that, which is I think Chinese based or Korean based company. I don't remember. You guys can just fact check me on that. They've also expanded into India. There was a competitor company over there which was working on commission based. So they have like one-time fee. You just pay one-time fee, and then you basically so the people who drive it, they pay one-time fee, and then they get to keep all the rest of the money. So Uber decided to extend to India so they can compete with that market as well. So they have announced so many good things recently. Though market was a little bit disappointed from the revenue, but overall they had good revenue. They have good growth. They've been making money for the last 1 year in a row. Previously, analysts who have been saying that Uber is not making any money before, they've been in profit for a whole year now. And as a result, Uber dropped a little bit this morning, but then it went back up. It's still hovering between $85 to $86 level, which is pretty good given that it wasn't, I mean, I think the earnings were good. They were very nice, but of course these analysts always, when something doesn't isn't at their expectation, their algos just hit hard quickly, and then they just start selling. But I think tomorrow morning Uber is going to have a good day again. I know Disney had their earning reports. I didn't have a chance to read their earning report. I'm not going to just sit there and make up a story. I have to read that. I will make an updated video maybe tomorrow or on the weekends. I hope so. My prediction, sorry. What am I supposed to do? I'm still holding Tesla. My husband is holding lots of Uber. Our goal is to sell if it goes to $95 to $100, which I think is going to go soon. And then once it drops, we'll buy back again. So we're going to sell them between 95 and 100. Tesla, if it hits $300, I'm going to sell, and then if it drops again to 270, 265, 70 area, I'll buy back in again at the dip. That way I can make up all the loss that I had that I lost after it went to all the way 485 and dropped to $215 eventually. So it kind of pained me a little bit. But now I'm thinking maybe I should do swing trade on Tesla, but I have to wait till it hits $300, because once it hit $300, I think the next stop is going to be 350 or 325. I have to check that. So I want to make the max out of it before I sell and then buy the dip again. Bitcoin, again, I still don't have a coin. I missed it again because I was almost certain that it's gonna hit $65,000 to $67,000 level, and it was getting pretty close. But then after this whole tariff issue, people, I think, started selling their equities and they started buying Bitcoin, which kind of bumped up the price again. It put some upward pressure on Bitcoin. So I'm going to wait and see what happens, and then maybe I'll worry about it. So not a personalized financial advice. Please do whatever pleases you. That's what I'm going to do. I am also doing some swing trades and day trades with my friend. Some days we make money, some days we lose money, but we do that just for fun, just a small amount. It just keeps us busy, gives us something to do, something to communicate with each other. Be safe out there. Please don't use the money that you're not willing to lose, because the stock market is a risky business. And don't invest into risky assets if you're new to the market and if you don't have tough stomach, because your money wealth could be washed off within a second. Only play whatever you can afford to lose, pretty much. Please give me your comment section, in the comment section below. Subscribe to my channel. Until the next one, take care and have a good day.